Welcome. This is Ayana. We are going to see where
Hello.
this conversation goes. I'm going to introduce you. Just wait a couple minutes for people to filter in, but
And this
um,
is Beans' tale that's
that's
going.
Beans. Yes, yes. Um, have I met all the cats now? I met
I
Beans.
think you missed Mimi. Her full name is Amelia, which means love. But she literally went around the other side and hopped down. She's more shy. The boys
They're
are
so
always
simple.
like, "What are you up to?" And I need to make sure you're safe because that's just the energy of what they bring to the table all the time is protection. And
Love
also,
it.
if I'm doing any sort of witchcraft, they're like, "I want to join. Why didn't you invite me?"
Oh, they just show up. I
Yeah,
love it. They hold it
they
for
do.
free. That's so sweet. My little terrier Radagast who passed, but oh my God, we own so many adventures. He's my little protector, off leash everywhere we went. Very, very good guy. And he twice chased off packs of coyotes.
Oh, wow.
Little 14-pounder. He's
That's
so fierce. I have a friend who's a dog trainer, and she's like, "Oh yeah, the terriers are like they'll chase down, like they'll go against the German shepherds. Like they don't have
Yep. It's
any
always
fear."
the little dogs and cats. Like,
Yeah.
do not underestimate what a house cat can do. Man,
Mhm.
I've seen them, like, face down bears and mountain lions. Like, they're just I mean, they're fearless, but also ferocious if they're like, "No, you're the problem. Leave."
Yeah. I love it. The confidence is all they need. All you
I
need.
know.
Is there a lesson in that?
We just need to remember that because I'm a small person. I'm 5'4",
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, like, you know, our energetic field is much bigger than what we appear to be here. So we just need to brace that when we're really feeling small in a situation.
Isn't that the truth? It's so true. Awesome. Robert and Nancy and Phil, you're here. Hi, hi, hi. Um, so Ayana and I were like, we could talk about. There's like 1 million things we could talk about. So we might do it again. I'm encouraging Ayana, as I'm going to encourage everybody, to just do your own live streams. Just see how it goes. Because we are all immense packets, seeds of information, and wisdom. So this may be just our first conversation of many, but I want Ayana to give a little background, who she is, where she comes from, because you have so many different interests and a rich background. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're gonna roll into like what your mission is, your like heart's mission, and how your witchy ways
Okay.
feed into that.
Okay.
Okay.
So I grew up in a family of 8 kids in a evangelical Pentecostal cult,
Mm,
and it was very conservative, but my family was actually even more conservative. So I kind of say I grew up in a cult within a cult, because a lot of the expectations put on people within the group that I grew up in were like way, way less, especially when it came to being a female.
mm,
And so having a voice was not a thing. Um, Having any sort of value outside of that system of your family was not a thing. Or like if you had needs, you didn't because those were selfish. So it was
right.
very hard to grow up in a system like that and be the person that I am because I'm very much like I have a voice and I have no problem sharing when I have a problem with something. And there was a lot of butting heads with my dad in particular because he saw disobedience as disrespect. And
Mm,
so that was very much a theme throughout my childhood. And there were many points where I almost didn't make it. And I'm grateful to be here. But when I was about 18, I actually left with my now husband to go start another cult
mm,
as kind of an offshoot of the one I was in, and very quickly decided I was done. And I was a part of the leadership there, and I was helping with like children's church and stuff like that. But I just was like, this is not at all like what it should be. Like
mm,
I don't feel like anything that I'm sharing or teaching is helping people. And the majority of what I'm experiencing here is just people judging people
mhm.
for like having different beliefs or experiences in their bodies. And unless you conform, then you should be othered. And that
That's
just
the
didn't sit
essence of
well
all
with
cults
me.
right there. Yeah.
it didn't sit well with me, and I was just done subscribing to all of that, and it took a little longer for my guy to be done with it. That kind of is the way it goes with everything in our lives, is I see it sooner, and then he sees it. But then he was also like, "Okay, I'm done." It was kind of at that point too where we both were, like, transitioning more away from, doing like human sciences and stuff, because I was initially going to school for physical therapy. I was studying anatomy and physiology and everything along those lines. I also was super into psychology, sociology, so I was taking every class I could take because it just was really fascinating to me, came to me easily. But when he was deciding to switch out of what he was doing, which was like biochemistry, and he was going to be an infectious disease doctor. But he decided that a lot of the stuff that he was researching, because he was working in dermatology, was going to give people lipoma. Hold on, what am I saying? Lipoma, lipoma. I'm saying it wrong. It's in my brain.
Lymphoma?
Lymphoma. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have that thing where you
No, no.
can't quite say the right words.
Yep.
I think it's a part of the autism. But anyways, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give people cancer. This is not good. And I don't want to be a part of it." So he decided he wanted to go back to school to study plants. And so we actually moved several hours away from where we were living, and I was just gonna continue doing what I was doing. But he was having so much fun and like being out with plants and nature. And I was like, I don't think I want to do what I'm doing, even though it's very interesting and I do want to help people. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to help people the way I thought. And so I took one soil science class, and then I switched over to agriculture and started studying organics and entomology, soil science, all of it. And so we were both in the School of Ag and just kind of open to finding a different form of spirituality, honestly. I was a little less open than he was, but he started kind of going down the road of metaphysics and found some information that he was really interested in. I was like, "You're crazy. I don't want to talk about that." I was like, "I'm done for now. I'm open to like being more like earthy hippie sort of person, but I don't want to think about like aliens and everything else that you're talking about." Because I just wasn't at that point. And he's like, "Just watch who I become as I start like further, down this path, watch who I become." And so I was just observing him and kind of like how it was shifting who he was as a person. And he was just becoming more and more grounded and like stable and honestly amazing. And so I was like, okay, I'm more interested in learning a little bit about what you're discovering. And he kind of had like a dark night of the soul too that was all mixed in there, and there's a lot of stuff to work through there. And um but we came out on the other side, and I was like, this metaphysics stuff sounds very interesting and also very important. So maybe I do want to learn about it. So I started learning about metaphysics. It was probably about 9 years ago now, and went down that road. I was just talking with you about how I have like a terabyte of information on this. And just
It's like I
how
saw the oracles
there's
here, right? It's just like this scroll that's just like when it unrolls, it's
yeah,
like a
yeah,
lot on there.
there's so much I don't even know where I would begin talking
Yeah.
about it. But for me it was just like, whoa, we are one planet. There are so many other planets, so many other universes, like we are just so much more than this, so much more than this shell, this skin suit that we exist in. But also like we need to not neglect what we have here. And so for me, it was really understanding that like not only do we need to be grounded, but we also need to be aware and connect the two. And that's where true like healing and capacity to use your energetic field, your magic lies, because you can't just live up here or live down here. You need both. And I think that that's one of the challenges within metaphysics. Or, oh, here's my other kitty.
Oh, I get to see more.
We were
Love
just
love
talking about
this.
how you hadn't met her. So, anyways,
Yes.
that's Mimi.
Love it.
But anyway, so metaphysics, very much people tend to be up in their higher chakras. And I was talking with you about how there are 15 within this time matrix that we have and everything else has too. And so there's the embodied chakras that most people know about, but then all the other ones. And so when you're really focused out here, it's great. I mean, you need to be aware of what's going on there, but you also really need to understand what's going on down here and the traumas that are associated with them and how you can unblock what's stuck because
Mhm.
dis-ease is literally just trapped energy.
Yep.
And the
Nothing more.
outpicturing of that trapped or stuck energy in the body is your lymphatic system. And so once you figure out that, then everything starts to flow more freely. So I kind of discovered yoga in that time frame as well. I
Mhm.
was really sick with mold toxicity. I was living in this apartment that had literal mold growing out of the floorboards because there was no subfloor like
Mhm.
partitioning and single pane windows, and I was in the first floor. So it was just like a mold. I call it the mold hole.
Mhm.
And so I was just very sick. I wasn't able to walk very far. I had such bad brain fog that I could barely think. And I was
Mhm.
at the point where I was like, I'm just dying. So that's kind of my
Mhm.
story, I guess. But I found yoga and I started doing just little practices every day. And it allowed me to have just a little reprieve from
Mhm.
that feeling of like, this is the end.
Mhm.
And I realized just how important it was for me to connect on that level with my body. And then as I deepened my practice and realized that yoga is not actually about the asanas or the poses, it's about getting to that state of being connected with the body and the mind and the spirit and the breath,
Mhm.
which is everything.
Mhm.
Getting to that point is
All
what
of
it's
them
all about.
flowing. Yes.
That's the hardest thing. And that was so significant for me. And so just kind of weaving in this tapestry of different learnings and meeting different people and broadening my horizons from the little organization I grew up in and the little
Mhm.
family unit I grew up in and allowing myself to be free of relationships that were not healthy for me, for
Yeah.
serving what I needed, personally in my life and realizing it's okay to prioritize that over what other people feel or think. And that
Yeah.
doesn't make you a selfish person or an evil person. That makes you a person that is actually much healthier and helpful to have in your life if somebody
Yeah.
chooses to be in your life. And
Makes you
so
much more in service to all, you know?
you cannot help people from an empty cup. It does not work. It just doesn't, and so that whole martyrdom thing that
The
is
worst.
so abundant and encouraged. I mean,
Every single
I think it's everywhere. It's not
it's
just
everywhere.
within religious organizations, it's everywhere, and,
Yeah.
like, there's nothing good that comes of it.
No.
Um you wanna be worshipped after you die for being a martyr? I'm sorry, but that's not really a great thing to, like, aspire to.
Nobody
Um,
wins in that scenario, and
Nobody
it's based on
wins.
the false premise of scarcity and
Yeah,
separation, as if there's only so much to go around. If I gain, you lose. The dumbest idea in the world. It's so evidently
yeah.
not true. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so just getting back to that point of like I can value myself. Or rather just learning for the first time because like growing up I didn't know at all. I didn't know that was a thing. I had lots of experiences growing up that I was like this feels different than what I've been taught, but I don't know why. And I guess I'll just hold on to it as something special for me.
Yeah.
Like levitating and other things like that that I was just like I don't know what this means, but it's cool and I like it. um and
Yeah.
just kinda, like, holding on to those little treasures and stowing them away, and hoping I figure out what they mean in the future, which I did, and that was really amazing to realize that, like, those moments had a word, like, to describe them, and also, like,
Mm,
you don't have to choose. Like, you can have all or nothing or, like, it can be a blend of something beautiful that works for you, and that's what
yes.
spirituality should be. It shouldn't be this thing that's confined to a box or that has perfect labels and descriptions, that everybody understands. Um, Labels are helpful. They do help people, like, connect, but they are not helpful on the front of like it kind of puts us in this wall up space that we
Mhm.
can like limit ourselves very quickly in. And so that's been something that I've continually reminded myself of too. It's like you call yourself a witch, but that's just a very small aspect of what you do. Um, and and yeah, and it's very grounded and beautiful, but there's so much more to it than that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I could say at this point to kind of
Beautiful
build
background.
off
No, it's
of, but
wonderful. I mean, and now I understand. So tell us about what you would call your mission, what your heart's practice is. Because now I understand. I get your background,
okay.
and then we'll see
Yeah.
where that takes us. Yeah.
So I would say my heart's mission is really to encourage people to connect with their intuition. And
Yeah.
your intuition does kind of exist in your body. And that's why so many of us are very confused because we have so many traumas within our body system that cuts us off from that inner knowing and understanding. And I'm trying to remember if we talked about this or not, but just the idea that like those who have a womb already have the cosmos inside of them. And so,
Yes.
like, connecting to your inner knowing and your intuition and that higher connection, like you have it inside yourself. So it's different for you. You can actually just immediately connect once you heal that space. And that's why it's so important that we are looking at those lower chakras, especially
Mhm.
if you have trauma, that we're looking to heal them and move it out. Release it, transmute it, whatever you want to call it, because that is your seat of knowing.
Mhm.
And it, like, in order for your higher chakras to
Yep.
engage in any sort of way, you need to know and connect and be here. And then for those who don't have a womb, you may need to go out and meditate. You may need to go fast in order to have that connection. And that's known within a lot of indigenous cultures that,
Mhm.
like, those who have wombs do not need to, but those
Mhm.
who don't need to in order to have that higher connection. And I think that it's such a beautiful way to look at it, and so helpful because I think a lot of people get really caught up in the I can't sit and meditate.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
can't sit
Mhm.
and meditate for 5 minutes, whatever it may be, in silence, and it just doesn't work for me.
Which is
But
such a lie because having teaching meditation for 7 years and
yeah,
non-dual and or nothingness meditation where it's really just being,
yeah,
it's and just being in the stillness and the quiet that you are already, the oneness that's already here, but it also embodied because most meditation skips the body or if it is embodied, it's like just breath practice and you don't go all the way into nothingness, all the way into
hmm,
silence. But the silence is here. There's nowhere to go. It's just being. But we have such a doing story
yeah,
about life that there's a separate self here doing something. So then the
yeah.
separate self goes and meditates, and it's all just a hallucination because there's no separate self there. So, but yeah, and that's why I hesitate to even use the word meditation. It's like there's an Adyashanti quote he says we're either meditating or manipulating ourselves.
Well, that's true, and basically everything can be a cult. So, and
Yeah.
and we are constantly brainwashing. I mean, for lack of a better term, we're constantly brainwashing ourselves in order to learn things too. So
Yes.
it's that repetitive motion, repetitive words, all of it. The tones, they matter. Words are spells, and especially when they're sung or in a poem, like it matters so incredibly much. And that's why, like, when you are thoughtlessly listening to something or reading something over and over again because it feels a certain way to you because maybe like you needed to hear those words, like you also need to hear them on a deeper level too because it is imprinting something in your metaphysical field. um
Yes.
so spells, spelling, yes.
So, yep, yep,
um
all of it.
it all matters.
Yeah.
But
So but to get
man,
back to the womb and yes, I mean,
yes,
exactly. But I always wanna just say that, like, to men or to, those without a womb, but to everybody,
yeah,
that don't make it hard, don't make it hard, make it enjoyable because it is enjoyable.
absolutely,
It's just
yeah.
it's just enjoying your own being in your full capacity, your full body, your full spirit.
Be
Yeah.
okay with being with yourself.
Yes.
And that's
Just what
sometimes
is.
one of the hardest things to learn, especially if you've like spent most of your life not liking yourself.
Mhm. The
And you
story.
should like being with yourself more than anyone else. Like once you
Yes,
get to
you're
that
actually your
point,
favorite.
then you've really arrived.
Yes, when you fall in love with
Once you're no longer hard, you can be vulnerable and you like being with yourself, you're
yes.
there. You've made it.
You're there.
Whatever that means. But,
Yeah, yeah, you
yeah, so
landed,
just
you know? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just being able to connect in the ways that you need to, but, like, for me, it was less about, like, "Oh, you don't have a womb," or "You do," but, like, having the understanding of, like, if this is the type of body that you chose to birth in with, like, these are the ways that you can connect in different ways, and to understand too the different traumas that, like, you came in with a certain imprint that you need to work through and heal. Like, it's
Mhm.
just the way that it
Your
is.
adventure.
It
Yeah.
was chosen, not necessarily like I'm not gonna go into the whole like, well, I chose to have these traumas and experiences. I'm not gonna say that at all. But I am gonna say that like to have an experience in the body that you chose, you did choose that. And so this is the ideal body that you chose for yourself. So remember that when you're like being hateful toward it or whatever, like
Yeah.
this is the body that you
It's your
wanted more than
avatar that you
any other
chose, and you were
body.
like, "Yes, yes."
This was the
And when
ideal
you
one.
100%. It's built, I always say, like, it's built exactly for your purposes.
Exactly.
Every single thing about it is built for your mission, and when you come into it, when you actually embody, you just fall in love with every little bit because you see it clearly and feel it clearly. You
Yeah,
know, you're
absolutely.
not seeing it from the outside in from society's concepts about it that have
Mhm.
nothing to do with reality. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So just like that intuitive connection, teaching people to really connect with their intuitive knowings. And so yes, it sits within the body, helping people work through traumas. And I'm not a sociologist or psychologist. I haven't done that those specific types of schooling, but I have kind of gone under a divergent like deep rabbit holes for years and years and years on a lot
Yeah.
of different topics. And so the tools that I've gleaned from my own personal experiences to help through my stuff, and then to help others, I'm hoping will be great assets. And I share a lot of that on Substack. But it's so important that we are able to connect to that intuition. And so within witchcraft, um, people get really confused and think
Yeah.
that they need to learn from a specific book or that it's all about the specific like words and spells that they're doing in order to create whatever ritual or like within kitchen witchery that you have these ingredients otherwise it's impossible to do whatever it is that you're trying to do and if you remember back before these people wrote the books that they did
Mm.
um, that that information came to them from being connected to their own intuition, and it was
Yeah.
for them, and it might benefit you, but you have your own connection that you need to find. And it's gonna and what you glean from that connection is gonna be more specific to you and your power and your capacity to do things. And so it's really important that before you're going out and trying to read everybody else's books and understand witchcraft from everybody else's understandings, and this goes for any spiritual practice, you need to go within and really connect
Mhm.
and heal and understand. And from that point, springboard forward because, yeah, getting it backwards creates a lot more, a lot more challenges
Totally.
and problems for you.
Yeah.
And so I
And
just try to teach people.
no wonder we don't trust ourselves, in this culture that's all left brain, it's all about your IQ, it's all about knowledge with a K instead of gnosis with a G.
Yeah,
And the feminine has been lost, so no wonder people go to the book and think, "I'm gonna learn this way," and are disembodied, but I love it, this encouragement to, like, it's if a book pings you, it's pinging something that's already there internally,
yeah,
and it's just a trigger to get you going, a flame,
yeah,
spark.
exactly. And not to say that, like, books aren't helpful because they absolutely are, but especially early on when you're trying to learn about spirituality or, like, deprogram or whatever it is, like, you really need to spend some time with yourself
Mhm.
and, make sure that you're not just being put into another cult or like, because
Facts.
it I mean, if you I kind of am one of those people who likes to know about every cult that exists and watch all the cult documentaries because I find them so fascinating and seeing
Yeah.
the different overlaps and everything. Um, but like common thread, a lot of those people were in previous cults
Yep.
and they thought it was the thing and then it really wasn't. And that's the result of just not actually doing the work after you left and wanting to once again externalize your power to somebody or something and
Bottom line.
instead of take it upon yourself to take ownership of your choices, take ownership of your life, and to realize that you're no greater or lesser than anyone else. And like whatever god, goddess that is out there that people are worshiping, like you're equal. And if you want to work
You're
with
her.
somebody
You're
else,
him.
cool, work
Yeah.
with them, but do it in a co-creative way. Everything
Mhm.
should be done in a co-creative way. If there's not an equal exchange of energy happening, there's a problem there. And I'm
Yep.
all for gift economy. I'm all for that, but it needs to be an equal exchange of energy, however that
Mhm.
exchange happens. But it
Mhm.
does need to be exchange of energy, because otherwise there's an imbalance and it becomes vampiric in some way. And then
Mhm.
somebody is being victimized and someone's the victim. And that cycle just goes and goes and goes.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Another
It's gotta be a
tangent.
natural flow. A natural flow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
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 like,
kind of
the
the
body,
beginnings.
right? At the Taurus field of the body is like there's a flow upward and a flow downward, and if one of
Well,
those is
that's a whole
blocked.
nother thing we could talk about,
Yeah.
because the tube torus is actually distorted energetic field.
Mm.
It
I do
is.
wanna talk about this.
Um, there's no
But let's
connection to there's no
okay.
connection to source.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if you look at the infinity symbol,
Mhm.
everything's just feeding off of itself until there's nothing else.
Mhm.
And the infinite source of reality is source, and we are it too. But if we're disconnected from it,
Mhm. That there's a
then we
closed loop, for
it's a
sure. Yeah.
closed loop. And
Yeah.
so you're living in a immortal reality,
Yeah.
and eventually you will return, but it's not going to be in the way that you necessarily wanted to, as we were talking about with holding on to your memory matrix versus
Yeah.
self-imploding and going back as space dust with none of it. But
Mhm.
if you flip the infinity symbol upwards, then you have that current, that flow,
Precisely.
that
Precisely.
connection
Love
to
it.
earth, that connection to source. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of distortions. The Fibonacci
Mhm.
sequence is also distorted. It's not connected to its origin.
Yeah.
If you look at the way the numbers built, and the spiral and everything, that the fruit of life or the flower of life also
Yeah.
is another vampiric geomancy that a lot of people use and think it's awesome, and but it's really just feeding off this energy. And while
Got it.
these symbols are present in nature, they exist here. That doesn't mean they're not distorted, that they hold the distortions that all of us have birthing
Mm.
in here, that we're here to like heal and fix. But
Mhm.
we shouldn't be holding on to them as like the guidebook. That's the
I get
problem.
it.
So
Yeah.
there's actually geometries that have been found in much older fossils that are like true geometry, like Christic geometries,
Mhm.
that are the right blueprint metaphysically, that promote that natural flow back to source instead
Yeah.
of what we often see, which is the six petals, that's kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a whole
Fascinating.
nother
I wanna show up to your
tangent.
live stream and hear all about it, and, did you see Devin Cornhouse's, live stream?
No, I
You
haven't.
okay, just worth looking at because he's really deep in this and what are, like, the true codes and the true math,
Hmm.
and, self-taught and brilliant, and it's resonating, like, I think you guys might have overlap. So,
Very cool.
anyway, yeah.
Okay, cool.
But I love it, I love it. It's yeah, it's gotta be open source, right? There's no closed loops, there's no closed geometry, there's no because that's just not real. That's not true.
No, I mean,
And
it's kind of like, because I studied sustainability for my
mhm.
master's, but sustainability is not what we need. We need
No.
regeneration. We need
Yes.
regenerative
You need the
systems.
flow.
We don't want to
Yes.
sustain what we currently have. We want it to heal and get better. And
Yes.
so we do need, like I said, that connection back to source, which is, yeah, it it seems so simple, but it's much more complex than that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so anyways, that's kind of my, I
It's a
guess.
similar sorry, I'm just have, like, a
No,
little
no,
riff
go.
here, which is, um like Oracle and I talked about with many people about like the trap of language too, right? Like so whether it's geometry, whether it's a sequence, whether it's the Fibonacci, whether it's a formula or a code, it can lock you in or it can unlock you.
Mhm.
And just like a label, right? Like, okay,
Yep.
here's the label of autism. great. It can liberate you in that moment. It's like, oh, I get to just be this person, and I'm
Yeah,
unique. But then as soon as you start to label it, it can now it blocks the energy. And
it
so
sure
this is
can.
the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I mean, so I'm ADHD, right? But it's for me, I see it as a way to connect with people,
Mhm.
like, to have an understanding and a connection. It's very helpful, but also if you let it be a limiting factor for yourself, that's where it becomes a problem. So, like, it's not to say that, like, having challenges or whatever is a problem because everyone who's on the spectrum has different challenges, and we need to understand it and help each other. Um, but, like, don't let that be your roadblock. Like, if you wanna do something or if you see yourself in a certain way, then go for it, and pursue it, and don't hold yourself back, and I think that's what, labels can do for a lot of people, and I've seen it happen over and over again where, you just get stuck in this headspace where it's like, "Oh, it's okay that I just don't do anything anymore. I don't
Mhm.
try.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
okay." And
Mhm.
and we just play the victim instead of embracing, like, the magic of who we are. Because, like, while
Oh, it's
it's
magic.
challenging, there's also so much more to it that's incredible, and there's a reason why so many people are birthing in with this coding where we're able to hold information in such a different way.
Yeah.
Like, we're here for a reason, and, like, our
True.
capacity to do is so much greater than, what we allow ourselves to think, and so yeah, just don't let labels hold you back, but also don't be scared of, like, using them if they work well for you, if you feel
Mhm.
camaraderie, connection with them.
Yes. If they unlock and
Y
open the flow, go for
yeah,
it.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And if they
Great.
stop, then don't use them anymore.
Then off
Like,
they
it's your
go. Yeah,
life, you can
exactly. As
change,
soon
you're
as they
allowed
turn into
to.
exactly. Is it medicine or is it poison?
That's
And
right.
you gotta feel whether it's medicine or poison.
What happened?
My oh,
sister broke it. Oh, can you bring it to me? I'll fix it. I have a little 2-year-old, and, she's watching her show in the other room, so something happened with it. Um,
yeah, go for it.
so
You
she's
gotta
gonna bring it to me.
just gonna bring it to you.
We'll
Okay, good.
fix it.
I love this. I think it's great when kids are because it's like this is how life should be. The kids are the
Yeah,
focus, and
yeah,
everything stops until
they
their
should be.
needs are met.
What bug? Oh, let me look. Let me see. Oh,
So
yeah,
you
it just
can-
turned off. It's okay. We'll fix it.
I'm
Okay.
glad you think it's groovy.
Oh, can you take it back? I want a different set. You want a different one? Okay. Do you want to choose one? Here, you choose one. You can take it back. You could choose one. Is that okay? I don't. Mama's talking real quick, okay? Mm. Do you want to choose? How about which one? How about
Thanks
that
for
one?
everybody's comments. We'll get to your question, Joe, about thoughts on shadow self and spiritual awakening. And thank you, Phil. In a lot of ways, from freedom from social norm. Yeah.
That one? Okay. No. No? Okay.
Spiritual.
I'm gonna need to choose one because I need to get back to talking. Okay. You need that one.
Oh, Mario Salvo. Salvo. Mario Savio. I remember that name, or I've heard that name, but I don't know much about Mario. Even your fat is, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Bob. In fact, go right into your fat. That's where to put all your attention. If
You
there's
go
any
take
part
it.
of you that feels like,
Okay.
not that, that's not acceptable, that's not okay. That's the part, the
Take it back.
pain or
I
whatever
love
that
you.
needs the most attention. Go there.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. So your mission is to help everybody get in touch with their instinct, their intuition, their inner knowing that is
Mhm.
both. It's that's body, mind, spirit. It's that full channel opening,
Yeah.
um, and then yes, not to get too focused on books, to start to trust your own thing there, and then tell us what you do. What would be your witchcraft, if we're going to call it that?
Yeah, I mean,
How do you
it's hard
practice?
to specifically categorize it in one way because I kind of do a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you could just call it intuitive witchcraft. I'll probably write a book about that specifically
Love
at
that
some
phrase. I
point.
yeah,
I have
yeah.
one started that's about moon magic and like your connection to the moon cycles and traumas and indigenous culture knowings and all of that that's coming together. But intuitive magic, that's definitely what I would call it. And that's just, I mean, honestly, just being present with what you're doing throughout your day, whatever it might be. And if you feel inspired to put things together because they're calling to you, great, do it. Craft your own spells as you go. Witchcraft does not need to be a specific way or ritual or something that you write out or speak out loud. It can be all very much inside you. Um, I do a lot of kitchen witchery because it's something I love. I've always been connected to it as a little kid. I started cooking for my family when I was like barely tall enough to try and see over the stove, and I actually got in trouble because I was cooking and my face was so close to the stove that, like, it was dangerous. So I stood on a chair and continued to do my thing. But one of the things I loved doing was looking in the spice, cupboard and learning the different spices and herbs just by, like, looking at them and not even, like, smelling them. And so that's something that I kinda made into a little game, and, now as a adult, I can just kinda look in my spice drawer and I know what everything is, and I just know their energy. And so it's understanding and connecting to the energies of what's around you and using them to, work with you to create, whether it's food or, some sort of ointment or, um, something that's gonna be healing for your community or your body or your family, whatever it might be. A lot of what I do is that sort of stuff, but also, like, sometimes I get a wild hair and I'll do this very complex, like, spell that I just kind of crafted in the moment, and it's, like, several hours, and it's a ritual that I'm doing under the full moon, and it's just, like, this really spectacular experience. But I'm a solo witch. I don't really do things with other people. I just kind of let it flow as it comes to me, and it's special and it's personalized, and that's what witchcraft should be. It shouldn't be this thing that you're trying to perform for other people or that you're trying to like get to a certain level, I guess you could say, of like, I could do this thing with fire or I can
Yeah.
do this thing with water. Well,
Yeah.
you can do
Unique,
that thing and
special.
it's fun. It's really
Mhm.
cool. But like it's all about learning and co-creating. And if your desire is just to dominate and control things, like you're not gonna get the results that you want. That's very vampiric. That's very much pulling energy off of other things and you actually are progressively gonna become less powerful because of it.
Yeah.
And so
Like will
yeah,
attract like.
just
You're if it
yeah,
comes from vampirism, you're gonna get vampirism back.
exactly,
Mm.
exactly. And so, yeah, a lot of my practice is just waking up, making things a ritual rather than just this routine thing that I'm doing, checking off the list. And whether it be just very simply, putting together my morning glass of water and stirring my intentions into it.
Yes.
There's actually a very interesting thing about, like, stirring your water, and there's probably a rate that you need to stir it at, but you can hyperoxygenate your water and turn it into, like, the 4th state of water, which is more bioavailable to your cells, and it's so fascinating that, like, witches have been doing this, stirring their
Yes.
intentions in their
Stirring the
water,
cauldron.
and
Yeah.
supposedly it doesn't mean anything or do anything, but clearly it does do something. We knew it,
Absolutely.
and now
Yes.
science has caught up. And
Yes.
that's kind of the way it goes with science. That's why I can't be like, science is the answer because science is all about funding. Do they have the right funding? Cool. Then you can actually do the project. And if you can't, then you're never going to learn about it, unfortunately.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, that was my experience in science and
Mine
academia.
too. Yeah, that's all
But
and then there's
unfortunately,
just an implicit bias in every
yep,
study based on the
yeah,
funding, and there's an agenda, and then that's what the scientific method is. It's a hypothesis beforehand
yep,
versus
yep,
coming into something with just fresh eyes
yeah,
and, being able to observe and feel, right? Because it's so disembodied too. So to feel like this is the this is the tincture I'm putting together. I just know it's right,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
sure enough, with a G, and then the scientists catch up about 20 years later and they know with a K. Like, yeah, you structured your
Exactly.
water. That's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and,
Yeah.
like, moon water, I guess they're discovering now that water is more, like, energetically capable of taking on things under, like,
Yeah.
a full moon, and it's like, well,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
thank you for
Yep.
telling me something that, we've known for a very long time. Um,
Exactly. If you just didn't burn the witches,
I know!
if you just,
If only they hadn't burned the
we could have gotten
witches.
there. Yeah.
I know. Did you know that, Scotland, they made a tartan for witches? Well,
I
actually,
saw that.
specifically for women who were burned as witches, and
Yes.
that's something that, like, it's hard for me because I remember other lifetimes, and I remember being burned as a witch, and it's really hard for me to be like, "Yeah, you just burned women and called them witches,"
Yep.
because, like, I very much
Women.
identify with that word, and I don't see it as a negative thing, and I feel like using it as a reclamation,
Yep.
of how it was distorted, but, like, I guess calling yourself a witch or talking about those women in that way as witches is seen as very negative because a lot of them were just women, for sure, but some of them absolutely were witches
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
were burned. And so I don't know. I just have mixed feelings about it, especially having like a lot of Scottish ancestors, Scottish and Irish ancestors, and very much connections to those timelines and the experiences that happened over there. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing. I'm like, yes, acknowledge that a lot of them were just women, but also a lot of
Mhm.
them were witches.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I totally
Like,
agree. I totally agree. It sort of
yeah.
depends on the audience, which
Yeah,
part
and
you
not in a,
emphasize.
like, a negative, like, they deserve to
No.
burn. No, they did not.
No.
Absolutely
No.
not.
They were the healers. They were the medicine women. They
Yeah,
were the,
they
yeah.
were the
And they
community
threatened the
builders.
church
That's why
because
we
of their
talk about
power.
matriarchy. Like, we
Yeah.
need that. Like,
Absolutely.
to look at somebody who's capable of, like, creating another human in their bodies and being a
Mhm.
portal between worlds, to
Mhm.
look at somebody like that and be like, "You're not as cool or as
No.
interesting, and we should definitely subjugate you,"
Yeah. And probably
is
you were born from a
baffling.
man's rib.
Yes, I know. It's so it I don't understand it. But the further along in this body that I get, the more I'm just like, "Wow, well done, body. You're pretty cool. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. Thank you for, like, letting me live in you." Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Body, like
yeah.
a human body, the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it is. It's a very strange thing to live in, especially
Yeah.
when, like, some of the energies are coming into the metaphysical field of the planet, and you're just trying to, like, anchor it for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah. It's
part
no
of what
small
I'm
thing.
here to do too, is be a
Yeah.
grid runner, and right now we've been pretty anchored in place, but, like, there are different locations on the planet that I've been pulled to,
Yep.
and in the past, it's been way more frequent, like moving every year or less.
Yeah.
But just feeling pulled to a location, you're just brought there to breathe and anchor, and
Yeah.
remembering too that, like, you don't need to do something elaborate, people. We're just here to
No, make it
breathe
simple and
mostly.
fun.
Like,
Yeah,
our
it's mostly
breath
just
is
being.
powerful.
Yeah, just be and just
Yeah,
follow
just
your
existing.
instinct, right?
Yeah,
That's
just
witchcraft,
existing.
is just going to the place that your body is called to go to. It's literally
Yep.
just following the flow of your body, because that's the flow of Gaia, because that's the flow of life. And she, he, it, they will bring you right into place. You pick the right spice and the right spot and the right cat. And
Yeah,
you're just,
it's you. You're
it's you.
pulling yourself
It's
in
all
different
you.
places, and exactly, and so it's just, allowing that to happen for you, and remembering it is just that simple.
It's just that
Like, we
simple.
do not need to make it complex. It's not
No,
actually that
no.
complicated.
Simplest
Sometimes
thing
it's
ever.
just breathing. And
Yeah.
and sometimes that literally is the hardest thing in the world, to
Yeah.
breathe and
Yeah.
continue to exist here, and if you're at that place, I totally get it. Like, I've been
Totally. We've
there
all been there.
so
Yeah.
many times. And it's okay, and also, like, give yourself mad props for doing it
Mad
and
props.
continuing on. I mean,
Yeah.
come on now. We
Yeah.
just need to be more okay with the fact that, like, not doing a million things, you're not less because of it. You're actually more, because, like, if
Yes.
you're willing to say no, sometimes that's pretty incredible.
That's incredible.
Most of us
That's what
have a hard
stops the
time.
wheel of the insanity, right?
Yeah,
Is just I'm hopping off over here. I'm just not engaging. I mean,
yeah,
that's what's gonna shift. It is already shifting everything, right? It's just divesting, defecting. I'm not doing the busy, productive cog in a wheel
yeah,
thing anymore.
yeah,
And we often shift only because we're exhausted, but we're each one of us that speaks up about this and encourages the simple following of whatever whatever your joy is, it breaks the wheel. It literally is just like
yeah.
it cannot function without us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And if you're not willing to just be yourself fully, like you're cutting everyone else off from an opportunity to experience
beautiful.
something incredible.
Yeah.
That's why like people who have the most success in life are always the outliers, the people who are willing to be weird and different and embrace it fully and fight for their dreams because it's what they truly their heart's desire is. And remembering that like putting yourself in a box is just diminishing your light and your capacity to have your energy flow. That was that's my husband ally. Um you're just getting like cameos.
Yeah, yeah, I like it.
I think Mimi just ran by too.
That's great. There's a whole scene back there. Yeah.
It is. I mean,
Mhm.
we have 2 dogs, so you only saw 1. We know
Yeah,
there's Mimi.
there you go.
But you only saw
5
1.
animals.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just it is that simple, and I think you were talking about was it yesterday? I think you were talking about just, like, stop overcomplicating things, or maybe that was a different live that you did. But,
Yeah.
yeah, we just need to stop overcomplicating things. It really needs to just get back to, like, let your inner knowing talk to you, and you might discover something well, I know you will discover something pretty incredible, because once you start doing it, it's just like, "Whoa." Like,
Yeah.
I just heard what somebody else was thinking, and I wasn't even trying to, it just was like, you know?
Yes.
Or, like, I just learned their whole story because I glanced at them, and I'm just like, "Whoa, that's so cool." Or, like, just, like,
Yeah.
having prophetic dreams and everything else, you just, like it comes online because you're
Comes
not
online.
blocking yourself anymore, and you're not
Yep.
scared of it, and that's another thing, it's just, like, getting away from the fear of anything that's unknown and getting
Yes.
back to, like, what if? Instead of like, "Oh, no."
I love that. What if instead of, "Oh, no." Yeah, absolutely. What if? And what if, like, everything's magic, you're God, like,
Yep.
what if it's all one? What if it's all for fun? What if everybody's your family? Like,
Yeah,
all these
exactly.
all the
Yeah.
opposite, really, of what we've been taught.
Yeah, exactly, and, like, if you see something that you don't like in the world, it's probably something you need to work on in yourself,
Mhm.
and, a lot of people will talk about astrological signs that they don't like, and one of the signs that a lot of people don't like is Capricorn. He's laughing because
See Capricorn.
I have 7 placements in Capricorn. So if
I
you
love
just
me some
don't like
Capricorns.
Capricorns, you will not like me.
You
But
totally strike me as a Capricorn. I'm a Virgo, sun, and so I just love the earthy the other earth signs are so
yeah,
my people. Yeah.
well,
But anyway,
I
yes,
mean,
love them all. Mm,
I love all of them too, and it's just realizing that, like, we all have strengths and we all have
yes.
unhealed parts, and so if you're expressing only the unhealed parts of what a Capricorn is, yeah, you're probably gonna be pretty toxic to be around, just like
Mhm.
anything else, like
It's like anything
Scorpio.
else.
Actually, my daughter's a Scorpio. But, like, the water signs, like, they all have their different aspects and beautiful giftings, and then they also have a lot of challenges, and so it's learning, like, this is my blueprint, but this isn't necessarily what I want to be, or this isn't necessarily the highest and best of what I could be, and so allowing it to be kind of, like, something to build off of, right?
Mhm.
It's not like,
Optimize it.
"This is who
Yeah.
you are," just like having any other label. "This is who you are." No, that's not who you are, but that is something that might give an explanation for some of the things that you're currently dealing with, which
Love
can
it.
be helpful.
It's so helpful, and exactly, we just hold it lightly, we utilize the reflection of it, like, it's validating, it's amplifying, "Oh, yeah, that's true about this Capricorn placement," or whatever, but we don't identify with it. We don't
Yeah,
hold it as a story of who we are, we don't hold any story of who we are, and
yeah,
all any label or all any word, all any spell is just to unlock the energetics that were already there,
Yeah,
and then why would you need the late? We don't, it's just for the convenience of communicating. But as you were
absolutely.
describing, it's
Which, I mean, language is important. And
the
as
language
we
is
talked
important,
about
and
when we
we're
were just hanging out and
yep,
talking, like
yep,
knowing how to communicate in a way that people will actually be receptive to what you're saying is so important. And it
essential,
is as
like
simple as
fundamental.
words, but
Yeah.
I mean,
But
words
it
are
does get
also
to the point you're
spells.
describing where it's just like the download. It's just, here's this information about this person. You know what I mean? And it's,
Yeah,
you just know. Um, and that's, Oracle talks about this, like it's like Tower of Babel stuff, right? Where we were scattered and we have all these different languages versus we're just one family. And the way that you can feel with your family, I'm sure you do, right? Where it's just a psychic communication. And sure, we
yeah,
have symbols and language and whatever, and they're beautiful. I love me some symbols and I love
yeah,
language. But I always, since I was a child, I was like, can we just do the Spock like mind meld thing? Like, can't I just
yeah.
download
We
everything
can.
here?
It's in our
We can't.
brain. There's actually a part of our brain that we don't use that's actually where it lies. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, the more that we're willing to just connect and stop fearing our giftings,
Yeah.
the easier it'll flow. And I don't know, did we talk about this? How a lot of indigenous cultures also see people with mental illness as actually healers and guides, and those who should be um, cherished
Yeah.
and taught how
Hoarded
to
the
use their
most.
giftings instead of
Yeah.
institutionalized and drugged. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Yep.
it's crazy to me the amount of people in westernized societies that are just like so gifted and so capable, but told how absolutely crazy they must be. And I was actually just talking with this one person who was at the co-op, and they're still pretty young, and they were talking about how they're autistic and how they have schizophrenia and how they just got a new medication, and just kind of go telling me their whole life story. And that happens pretty often for me where people just kind of tell me everything. I don't know if I'm signaling for it or not, but
You're safe.
anyways,
Your
I was
your energy
just
is just safe.
oh yeah, thank you. I was
Yeah.
just trying to remind them that like just because this is the story that you've been taught doesn't mean that's actually the truth. And what you hold is actually something immensely powerful. And so, like, stop seeing it as this negative thing that you want to get rid of,
Yeah.
and instead embrace it as a part of you and let it blossom because there's something beautiful there if you allow it to come forward. Um, so we need more healers within mental health that are doing what you're doing and aware and capable of being guides instead of
Yeah.
doing other things. Um, because
Exactly.
it's not working
Exactly.
and it
It's
never
not
has
working.
worked.
No.
Um,
No.
and women are hysterical.
Well, this is all of psychology is built on the suppression of the feminine and her
Yeah,
natural instincts and knowing, and her
yeah,
emotion, the energy, not emotion in the dramatic way, but the
yeah,
energy and motion of flow, right? And of having, of just like an animal, right? Where, like, I always give the example of my dog where he'd be tearing a toy apart in one minute and then he's laying on my lap and just blissed out in the next.
yeah,
That's the natural flow, right? We have a storm comes in and then, the sun comes out.
yeah.
And the feminine is very attuned to that, which is, the feminine is our everybody's body. It doesn't matter if it's a masculine or male body or whatever.
We all
And
have it.
that
Yep.
and we've called all of that flow, we vilified it. We said, unless you're a good cog in the machine, unless you're good for the matrix, you're sick, right? There's something wrong
Yeah.
with you, and in fact, there's something right with you. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, just having, like you said, the range of emotions that are very natural to have. And in fact,
yeah,
not having them means that you actually are out of balance.
yes,
Like, you should
yes,
not always be happy or always sad. Like, you should experience all of them, and that makes you a healthy human being. You are
yeah,
being fully in this body. Um, but like, also for most of us, the system is not set up for us to succeed. I mean,
zero, yeah,
for those of us who have moon connection and cycle, it's like being 24 hours, 7 days a week, the way that we are, it makes no sense.
no,
I think I have an
the
article
clock's got to
coming
go.
out. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I think I have an article coming out, I think it's next week, but it's about the different days of the week and, like, how they're named after mostly gods. And even the ones that are have that feminine connection, Monday and Friday, Moon
Mm,
Day, and then
mm,
Freya, Friday,
mm, mm.
they're either the beginning of that structure, regimented, like, let's go back to work, completely dismissing what the feminine is, or it's kind of a, like, throw it all out the window and have no regard at all, which also isn't feminine either. So, like, it's just there's no connection for those who care to connect,
Yeah.
and it's in every aspect of our system and our 12 months out of the year, instead of having more like 13 connected to the moons, um having more equal days every month instead of this crazy thing that we have, or like the way they mess with our circadian rhythm with having all these different time zones and switching back and forth. I mean, it
Yes, yes,
all
yes.
accumulates, and you don't see it, and then once you start seeing it, you see it everywhere
Yep.
because
Yep.
it's in our entire, yeah, system here.
Yep. Exactly.
And
It's a maze.
yeah,
Mhm. And a
and
trap.
it's not that we're gonna change it all at once, but being aware is definitely the first step. Being willing to be aware too. And if you are willing to be aware, thank
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
because I grew up around a lot of people who weren't. And willful
Yes.
ignorance is very much a thing. And we're seeing that a lot within the United States too. Just this willful
Mhm.
ignorance, wanting to ignore like the realities of what is and how
Yeah.
you're responsible and connected to it based on your decisions. Um, but like owning up to it, right? Being willing to say,
Yeah.
I made a choice. It was not the right choice. I would
Yes.
rather make this other choice now, and I'm changing what I'm doing. And then
Yes.
embracing those people and be like,
Yes.
okay, we're gonna move forward in a different way together.
Yes, yes. I think
That's what it's
people
all about.
project the fear because we project that we're gonna get harmed, that we're gonna be judged. It's like,
Yeah.
no, no, we're welcome and it's safe. It's safe to come out. It's safe to be wrong. It's safe.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I talked about being wrong about my soulmate, like being
Yeah.
completely and like the and the whole point was to say that in public and to talk about how it was such a gift and how everything was weaved together just right, and being wrong was also right. It was also served.
Yeah.
But the fear is, I don't have it anymore, but the fear is we're going to get hanged we're going to get burned at the stake. We're going to get,
Yeah.
we're going to get kicked out of the cult. We'll be abandoned
Yeah.
forever because
Yeah.
that's our history and that's been
Yeah.
coded. But we can see that code it was always just that wasn't real. It wasn't true. It's not true about
Yeah.
humans, working with humans my whole life and just studying them. Um, we're amazing. We're so forgiving. We're all capable of healing. We all are good underneath everything. We all serve.
Yeah.
We all have a beautifully weaved together purpose with everyone else. Every story we've had about ourselves as human beings has been crazy. It just has nothing to do with our reality. And I've watched it. I've helped people heal, and I've watched, I've sat with like criminal people who've done so
Yeah.
much harm, but underneath was always this beautiful, powerful person of service because that's what
Yeah.
we are. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just getting back to, because like I was definitely ingrained to believe that like you were born evil, you're
Yes.
born a
Yes. That's
sinner
the story.
and like you need to be
Yes.
fixed always. There's no escaping it. And so
The
realizing that
opposite.
like we weren't born evil. Like our innate blueprint
Have you
is
met
not
a
to be
child? Have you ever
evil.
met a child?
Yeah, like
Have you ever
if
babied
that's what
before?
you're choosing for yourself, then like by all means you go down that path. Stay far away from people. Let's quarantine you because like
They need quarantine. Yeah, exactly. If you're running that
you're
story,
gonna
let's
go
quarantine
through
you
the
for a
black
while.
hole, okay? And we're all good with that. Like, let's stay over there and do it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy to me how many people believe that like, no, you're like somebody was just born to be evil to other people.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, it's just
But,
not.
what a compelling story to get you hooked into a church for the rest of your life or an organization or a government who's
I
gonna
mean, it's
correct
all
you and make
about the
you
right manipulative statements
yeah.
and words and phrases and spells that people use, and it's absolutely insane to me that people think that the Bible isn't a spell book because there's tons of witchcraft in it and, blood magic and what do you think communion is? There's so many other things and like all the gemstones that are put in the breastplates by the priests, and just so many other things within the Bible that are very much spells. And it's actually interesting because I live in Tennessee. I'm in Appalachia, and so like talking to other people who are out here because I was raised on the West Coast in Oregon, um, but like talking to a lot of people out here, and hearing how like the Bible, like they don't necessarily see themselves as like Jesus Christian followers go to church, but like they see the Bible as more of like a spell book that they use for
Mm.
the rituals and stuff. I'm like, it's nice to see that somebody's getting getting it.
Somebody gets
It's
it.
like
Yeah.
there's a lot of truth in there, and there's
Yeah.
also distortion, and that's how the deception happens. You need at least like 30% of truth in order to
Mhm.
hook people, and then there's enough distortion in there too that you can kind of do what you want. And that's
Wow.
present in all religions and
Mhm.
all cult organizations. There's enough truth to hook you in, and
Isn't
then
that's I've never heard that before. That's so perfect and true. It's exactly right. It defines every single cult, every single religion. I like that. Um,
because
all of
you're
it. It schools,
relegioning
everything.
yourself. Yeah, you're
Yes.
subscribing to somebody else's legion instead of your own, and
Mhm.
it's so important once you start seeing it. You're like,
Mhm.
whoa,
Mhm.
I don't want to do that
Mhm.
anymore.
Yes,
I want to take
yes,
my power
yes.
back. Thank you.
Totally.
What are you
But,
doing?
in a world that's so distorted, it's like even a little bit of truth is so compelling, And so it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna hold on to this truth," you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
Hi. There you go.
Um,
But yeah,
love it.
it's been very interesting to kind of unlock a lot of those things and like the little like I'm not gonna claim that religion is my thing. I heard it somewhere at some point in my life. There's
Yeah,
lots of things like that, right? Where it's like, I don't know exactly where I learned that, but man, it resonated and I've held
it
on to it.
resonated. Yeah.
But there's also stuff that just like comes to me in the moment. I'm like, that's something I want to keep hold of because, like, it just makes sense. It, like, helps people
Mhm.
shift, and it's just right, when you listen to, different people talk on podcasts or different books that come out that go like, do quite well, they usually have some sort of, like, phraseology that they use that's, like, kind of throughout, that's
Yeah,
their own little, like, spell
yeah.
that kind of entices people and clicks with their
Mhm.
brains. It's very interesting, and it can either be used in a positive way to help people learn to grow or to manipulate them into
Mhm.
servitude. Um,
Mhm.
and that's why it's always important to ask, like, am I going into a cult right now? Like, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
am I having an equal exchange of energy with whatever I'm like involving myself in, or is this imbalanced in some way?
Mhm.
And certain situations, it's inevitable, like being a parent. You're always going to have a level of imbalance there, but also you chose it for yourself. And so it's a part of like your roadmap here. And it might balance out in the future, but it's also teaching you something. So
Mhm.
in a way, it is balanced.
Yeah.
But
And,
within,
it's because it's all connected, it's like when you were saying before that there's this equal exchange, it's like, yes, and it also could work that it's like a paying it forward. I don't love the money language here, but you're
yeah,
giving to your daughter, and it's like it's like in a garden, right? You might
for
not get,
sure.
and the seventh generation might get the fruit tree. You plant a fruit tree, they're
Yeah,
not gonna,
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but in just giving without expectation, as my friend Jenny calls it, that in itself, it's you get back what you give out, right? So
yeah,
and that's what, as I've been working with, like, what is the terms? Because it's not a gift economy, it's not even a gift exchange, it's just it's just gift. Charles Eisenstein calls it like give living in the gift, and then it's
yeah.
basically just like you're living in flow,
Which
and
is what
then
I, like, consider, like, an equal exchange of energy,
yeah,
co-creation, because you're creating together. No one is feeding off of someone else, whether it
yeah,
be, like,
that's the key.
there isn't because everybody has a capacity to give in different ways, and so you
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
equate one person's gift to another person's gift, but, like, one person shouldn't always be receiving and the other person's always giving. And like, I suppose as a parent, you are being giving gifts all the time from your kids. I learned from
Sure.
her constantly.
And
And
just her
it is
presence,
such a gift to have the presence of being with a toddler because like, man, when you stop fighting it and you just go with the flow and you're part of their world, like the amount of things that you learn from
Yes.
just being present, it's incredible. And the way you see the world, just getting down on their level. And then also, like, she's starting to have a lot of her spiritual giftings come online. And so it's really fun to have conversations about all of that too. Um,
How
it's
fun. Oh
definitely
my
something I've
god.
been looking forward to because, like, I knew that she was going to birth in, like, I think
Okay.
13 years ago now.
Oh, yeah, tell
Yeah,
the story,
13
it's so
years ago.
cool. Yeah.
I so this was back when I was still very much like in Christianity, did not believe in metaphysical stuff other than like God, Jesus, the devil, angels, demons, all of that, right? Which I mean, those are metaphysical beings.
Mhm.
And anyway, so I was very much still in that, but like she came into my energetic field and I didn't really know what to call it back then, but that's what it is. And
Mhm.
she's like, "Hey, my name's Aurora." I was like, "Oh, hi." She's like, "I'm your daughter, and this is who I am." I was like, "Whoa,
Okay.
okay, that's really cool." Um, so when are you coming in? She's like, "Oh, not yet." So it wasn't until like many, many years later, almost a decade later, that
Mm,
she like came into my world in a physical
mm.
form. And so like having all of that time of knowing who she was and then like telling like whoever I was working with, midwives, doctors, whatever, and you're like, no, I know who this person is. You don't need to try and like tell me that it might be something else. I'm like, no, I already know.
No,
And
and you
having it
just
just be
knew.
that way and reminding other people too who are having kids, like, you have that connection too. I know I'm
Yes.
special. All of you are special too. And
Yes.
reminding you that, like, you need to get back to that place of not letting everybody else's noise pollute your field. And when you
Huge.
have those little knowings come to your mind, don't dismiss them. Just
Yes.
accept them and get excited about it, 'cause that
Love it.
that's exactly what it feels like. It's not like this big voice most of the time. Most of the time, it's just this little, like,
Mm,
thought that comes into your mind. It's like, "Huh, that seems interesting," and then instead of just being like, "Whatever," you actually embrace it, and
yep.
from there, you can build. Um,
Truth.
I don't think I've been reading any of these
No,
comments.
I
I'm
know.
sorry, guys.
I went back to, there was one question that, it's great, we'll just get into this. I wanted to ask you, I'm now remembering the phrase of it. Fire Mage Joe says, "What's your thoughts on shadow self and spiritual awakening?"
Well, first of all, it's not something that you need to do, like, to force. It's gonna happen in the timing that it happens for you. So
Mhm.
shadow work, a lot of people say, "You gotta do your shadow work." Shadow work isn't something that you, like, pursue. It's something that you do as it arises.
Love it.
If you try
Yes.
to pursue it, that's where the problems happen. Like, you need to
Agreed.
just let it happen to you, not happen to you, but, like, you need to let it come to you, and as it does, that means that you're ready to process it. Because if you try to delve into the deeps and do it all, like, I know you understand this, like,
Totally. Yeah.
if you wanna completely lose it, that's a great way to do it.
Yes, yes. And
But
it's like, "I'm gonna go heal," and it's like you go in with an agenda, and it's forceful versus this nap that
yeah,
life doesn't
it's
punk
not a
us to a
box. It's not a
no,
box,
it's not.
people.
No. And
I
and
did
and
shadow work. Woohoo!
yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. Oh my god, oh my god, all the spiritual and healing teachers, who have their manual of how to do shadow work. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, they just stay in a loop.
Yeah.
But if it naturally comes up, it's like life will time it just perfectly in the same way that you wouldn't wanna eat all 3 meals or whatever in a moment, you know what I mean? Not but anyway, so, not that I eat 3 meals a day, but, life will time it just right. So exactly, when you get triggered and that shadow comes up, it's because it's perfectly timed right then for you to look at it.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. You know yourself better than anyone else, and if someone tries to tell you otherwise, you should boot them out of your life.
Love it.
And that's I mean, that's one of the most complicated things about health in general is just having somebody always tell you they know better about you than you do yourself. And having that story told to you over and over again of like, no, we didn't find anything, so there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Um, like, if you know something's out of alignment, something's out of alignment
Yeah.
for you. And whether or not it's understood in the 3D, that's another thing. But
Mhm.
most of the dis-ease that we have in our bodies, in our beings, stems from having a blockage in our metaphysical field, which outpictures in the lymphatic system. And then that's throughout the body, whether it be neurological because the lymphatic pathways are clogged in your brain, or anywhere else. And so if you
Yeah.
look at whatever illness you might be dealing with, like I promise you, there's a lymphatic thing to trace it back to,
Mhm.
because it's all
Mhm.
connected. And that's another reason why I love a yogic practice too, because it's so helpful for getting all of that to flow, and it can be accessible for everyone. It's
Yeah.
meant to be. And
Yes.
so if you are teaching it in the right ways, it is accessible for everybody, whether it be you're laying on the ground supported by 5,000 pillows and you're just breathing. Great. You're doing yoga. Congratulations.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
actually I started out on TikTok teaching what I call bed yoga,
Love it.
because for a lot of people it can be really hard to get out of bed, and for some people they might not get out of bed for weeks because of mental health stuff or physical disabilities and or illnesses that they're going through. And so being able to do something in bed is so incredibly helpful. And
Mhm.
just basic stretches or crazy ones, who cares? Whatever feels right to you, it still counts. Like it still counts to your
It
body. You
counts.
showed up for yourself.
Everything counts. Yes, and it
You showed up for
and we can
yourself.
stop counting. Yes, you showed up
Yeah, we
exactly.
don't
It's
need to
literally just
count,
showing up.
but, like, if we're
Yeah,
gonna count, because some
if
of
we're
us
gonna
kind
count.
of, like, do that. I have a
Yes,
hard time not, because I'm just
yeah.
like,
No, I get it.
that's a part of who I am, is, like,
Yes,
did I do something for myself to help
yeah,
with the healing journey of my body? Because, like, it is important.
yeah,
So if it's 2 minutes or if it's 2 hours, great.
yeah.
You did
Great.
something, you showed up for yourself, and if you made a commitment to yourself and you followed through on it, that matters. Those
Mhm.
commitments to yourself should matter more than anything else.
That
And it
it's the
allows you to be
center of
someone
your
who
world.
can make commitments to other people too.
Yes,
So,
yes.
building that relationship once again with yourself from the inside out, that's how you attract people into your life, into your energetic field that are going to be healing and awesome and encourage you to grow too. That
Mhm,
are going to be more in balance. Because if you're going out into the world and you're fresh out of a cult and you're just like, who knows, and you're feeling completely out of whack and imbalanced, like you're going to attract those exact people into your life as well. So
mhm,
not to say that there's any problem with being around other people that you can be in camaraderie with. I think that can be really helpful. But if it holds you in a cage, in a box, and you all kind of drown together, like crabs in a pot, you've heard that
mhm.
analogy where people just pull, yep,
Yep,
the crabs
yep,
pull each other back down.
yep.
That's exactly how it can be. So focus inward.
Yes,
It does
yes.
matter, and it is very simple, and it's just little
Little
things you can
things.
do to shift your perspective and the language that you're using with yourself. I've studied a little bit of neuro-linguistic reprogramming stuff too, and it is so important. Just little words,
Great.
phrases
Yep.
that you
Mhm,
change in how you're talking about yourself or about different things in your life.
mhm.
All of a sudden your reality is shifting.
Yes,
It's
yes, you're
just like that.
reparenting yourself, you're finally attending and not abandoning yourself because we
Yeah,
just pattern off of what the people around us, and if it's a cult, every single person, and they all are, most families are cults, you know what I mean? Nuclear families,
it's true.
they act
Yeah,
as it, and so everybody's neglecting themselves, nobody's showing up for themselves, and nobody's showing up for you. Somebody's gotta start. Somebody's gotta break that cycle. So, yeah,
yeah,
just very small, just
absolutely.
attentive. What do I want right now? Coming into the body. What do I need? What's true? And honoring that moment to moment as best you can. And it just gets
Yeah,
easier and easier. The momentum builds.
it does. Yeah, absolutely. And
I mean,
just
you've come so far from being like deep in a fucking cult to now being so liberated. Like
having
your
a
story is
voice,
so inspirational. Yeah.
having a voice at all, like being able to use my throat chakra, is
Mhm.
pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I am so proud of me And
Yes.
the stuff I've worked through to get to this place where I can actually speak and feel like my voice is something that other people would wanna hear, that I have words that people would wanna hear that could be helpful. Because like, growing up, I had dreams about, like, trying to talk in front of people and no one was listening, and I would try to be louder and louder and no one would listen to me. And so, like, as an adult, being able to share what is my passion, what I love, what I know is true and helpful, and have other people value it, even if it's one person, it's incredible. It's what it's all about. Um, and so, the many decades of life that I've spent here, because I'm 34 now, and all of the different crazy healing stuff and experiences I've been through, because like that's a very small fraction of the life. there's there's been a lot more, and I'm grateful to be where I'm at now, but man, there have been ups and downs, and realizing that like we all have them. We all have them. And like you might look at somebody and be like, man, they really have it together. Probably not.
I'm gonna go
Probably
with no.
not. That's the answer.
No. Yes.
They probably don't.
Yes.
And it might look
No.
like they have, things pretty settled in this moment, but most people don't. And it's okay. And if you are looking to everybody else to feel validated, um, you're probably in your 20s, and hopefully once you get into your 30s, it'll get better.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I wish I learned that sooner.
Yes, listen
But,
to us
like
now if you're in your 20s,
yeah, yeah, it
Let it
it
go.
gets much better when you stop caring what other people think, because most of them aren't thinking about you at all. Not to
No,
say that you
no.
aren't valid of being thought about, but, like, most people are thinking about themselves, so,
Yeah.
it's better to
And
just
your life is
focus.
yours.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's better to just focus on enjoying who you are completely and stop trying to be what everybody else wants, as soon as possible. I recommend it.
Yeah. We both recommend it. Liberate yourself
Yeah,
and have a better time.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I'm just gonna somebody said Fireman Joe says rabbit holes, Alice in Wonderland vibe. That's good. I like that's the
Well,
vibe we're
we
going
knew
for.
that's what it would be when we
Yeah,
talked,
exactly.
because we,
You're
like,
like,
had a
Which rabbit
pre-talk
hole did
before
we go
doing
down to?"
this. We're like, "Well, who knows what we'll end up talking about."
There's so many rabbit holes we could go down,
Yeah,
but I like the ones that we did go down.
yeah.
Bob says, and that brings me to the second mode of civil disobedience. There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you got to put your quote from Mario Savio. I didn't get the rest of it, but you put, yeah, I mean, exactly. You just got to let it go. Just got to
Mhm.
walk out. And that's what we're doing here. Just creating a new community, free people, free systems, um, gift, world of the gift. Uh, he says, "Wait, what's your sign? Neon." My neon sign. That's funny. Safe to be wrong. We are our own saviors, says Phil. Teo Tuakwi. Welcome. And isn't it okay to live in the gift of flow? Doesn't the world need more of this? Indeed. And isn't it okay? Yeah. Gift of flow. Hi, Yoshi. Charles, good to see you. Would kind to know about more of this, as my husband has suffered from RLS and actually all his limbs flip throughout the day. Ah, okay, Kitchen Witch, what would you subscribe?
Well, I think she was referring to the yoga,
Oh, the
the
yoga,
bed
yeah,
yoga.
yeah,
So, I mean, I'm not gonna subscribe anything to you on
that's fine.
here. I wanna
Right,
know
right.
a lot more about, like, what he's dealing with and all of that, and also, like, I am not a medical professional. I am a 500-hour trained yoga teacher, but I am not a doctor. And so if you wanna DM me, I'm happy to have a
Yep.
talk with you, but, I mean, everything I tell you is not medical advice. I'll just put it out.
Nice disclosure. Yeah, absolutely. Same here. Same here. I no longer have my license. None of this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all. But good. This is the sharing economy, right? Where we're just sharing what we know
Yeah,
and
I mean,
and
this worked
enjoying
for
each
me,
other's.
or this is something that's
Yeah,
helped other people that I've shared, and that is what it's all about. It's not that I have all the answers. I do not, but I do have some answers, and they might be the right answers for you, or they might not.
yeah, yeah. We'll
So,
see. But I love the bed yoga,
of
and
course,
really, it's this um just whatever's natural, whatever feels the most natural. I spent a year, like the year before I moved to California, I was like, I feel like I moved to California in my bed. Like I just did everything from the bed
Mm,
because I just needed rest. I was coming off of
yeah.
a relationship and a marriage that was out of alignment and just learning to just be in my system. And I was like, oh my God, this body. I mean, she loved like long exercise. I like go on 2-hour habit walks, but I
Yeah.
also want to stay in bed for all day long
Yeah.
and to just let myself stay in bed. I've never my whole life
Yeah.
did I rest that much.
Yeah.
And then it was the same thing. I would eat in bed. I would have phone
Mhm.
conversations, but I would do client calls in bed, and I would stretch and do yoga basically in bed.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great, and just,
Bed peace.
like, you might have the capacity to go out on walks for hours, but that doesn't mean that you aren't exhausted too, and, like, your system needed to be in nature because of, like, well, all of the microbial stuff, absolutely, but the energetic stuff of being around plants and nature, like, we are so incredibly disconnected, and
Yeah.
I know on the most basic levels, people talk about forest bathing and stuff like that, but it's so much more complex than that. And so if you're feeling drawn to go out and be with plants, please do so. Take off your shoes. You need it desperately if your system's like dying to be out there. Right now, I'm feeling very much like I need to be by the ocean. It's been
Mhm.
2 years since I've seen the ocean, and that's way too long.
Yeah, I get it.
Way
I
too
get it.
long.
It's so
Um,
interesting because I'm by the ocean and I love the ocean and it's just the perfect place for me right
yeah.
now. But I've been like, I can't wait to like go to Tennessee and be by a lake.
I
So
mean, you're welcome to come out here and visit.
you're welcome here too. I got an extra,
Thank you.
bedroom.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah. And when, just a walk to the ocean. So,
That's
but
lovely. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and this is
that's
what I
that'd
also
be
see.
ideal.
We're all going to just be these nodes, where we can all just
Mhm.
visit and then spread this energy around and reconnect the natural web.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
like
it's a
mycelial network.
grid. We're a part of a
Yeah,
grid, and, like,
yeah,
I mean, we have a grid over our planet energetically, and a lot of things are filtered through there, and that's why sometimes it doesn't come through our bodies the way that we like it to. It
yeah,
processes very differently. That's also why, like, when we go to manifest something, it might not do the thing that we want it to do exactly how we want it to do it.
yeah.
And that's because we have this overlaid grid on our planet that is kind of distorting everything. And it is going away, but it's a process.
Mhm.
But like even just talking about like if you're only looking at witches, I mean, we're all over. We're everywhere. And I would
Everything.
I would I would bet that you could very easily identify as a witch if you'd like to. Because most of us can.
Mhm.
It's
Most
just
of us can.
having that connection to the earth, to our
Yeah.
inner intuitive knowings and practicing in a way that's connected to it.
Mhm.
And I would say that very quickly, most of you in here are probably like, I'm probably a witch too.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you are, you probably are. And if anyone else is telling you you can't be because you weren't raised in it or you were taught whatever, I have an article for you. So go read it because it's all about that. And
Great.
I promise you, after you read that article, you're gonna be like, hell yeah, I'm a witch and I'm proud of it.
Claim it.
No one else is gonna tell me otherwise. Um, and I
That's
did
great.
write it for you because if you're searching and that's what you're feeling drawn to, then awesome. Like claim it, own it. Ow!
Absolutely.
What the?
Everybody's got medicine to share, every single one of us.
Okay. Okay. Can I help you with this in just a moment? I like a different one. I hear you. I like a different one. Would you like to hang out with me for a moment? I like a different so I hear you. I want a different one. I know you've been really patient with Mama because I've been
I'll let you go. We're at an
I've
hour
been
and a half
going.
anyway.
Oh,
Probably your
well,
probably our cue.
this has been really fun.
So fun, so
I
fun.
I think I've reached my limit of how much time I
Yep, it's the perfect
can be
timing. It's a good
away.
she was our bell. Teotwaki says, "Oh my god, you guys so helpful." So excellent. I'm
Oh,
sure, you'll reach
awesome.
out and, Ayana's available. Incredible writing, incredible work. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, and I really appreciate connecting with you, and I don't I don't take anything for granted. When I come across somebody that I'm, like, constantly being, like, drawn to connect with, there's a reason, and, whether it be that I have a message that you need or you have a message that I need. Like, there's a reason and there's an exchange that is going to happen, and I'm grateful for it, and we'll see what it ends up being ultimately. But
Totally.
you're a really cool person, and I'm so proud of
Right.
you for all the work that you've done on yourself and willingness to be open and vulnerable about your journey too. You should be so incredibly proud of yourself.
You too. I'm so glad to connect. It's such a blessing in my life.
Thank you.
All right. Lots of love. We'll talk soon. Okay. Bye. Bye, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow with Dr. Ginny at noon. Okay. Bye, y'all.